Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last episode of SimplyPodLogical in the year 2020.
Thank God,
Here's some
man.
clickbait for you. We should call this the last episode so a lot of people click on it, right?
Rude.
So we're wearing these sweatsuits we got from YouTube for Christmas.
Fashion 2021.
How do you feel? Very retro. It was nice because we didn't buy each other Christmas presents, so it was nice to have something to open.
But YouTube got us a present. Look at this style. Actually, the pants are a little short for me.
Mm-hmm. How was your Christmas? First of all, everyone out there, I hope you had a Merry Christmas without the H, if that's the sort of thing you celebrate. How was your Christmas, Christine?
It was good. It was low key, as we expected. We had 7 Zoom calls in 2 days between the 24th and the 25th Christmas Day. So that was kind of exhausting. And I kind of now understand. I mean, I don't understand, but I feel for students who've been doing 8 hours of Zoom a day. Because I made a comment on Snapchat like, 7 Zoom calls. Like, I'm so tired. And they're like, girl, you haven't had to go through school, I guess, in the last year. And you're right. So I totally respect people having to now transition to online school and online learning of any kind. It's a lot for sure to have to do a lot of online classes. So, and never mind talking to your family for 2 days straight online.
Yeah, but it was a very 2020 Christmas, you know, a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of just like lying on the couch watching Netflix.
Yeah, we didn't do very much.
Not much at all. Very low key. Didn't really see people.
Just the cats.
Just the cats. Just the kitties. But
she likes your hoodie, your sweater.
So today we're going to do a little look back at 2020 before it's in the rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. And in very 2020 fashion, I guess we want to reflect on the best and worst of the year. So movies, TV shows, YouTube content, all sorts of things. We want to talk about the best and the worst of the year. Mm-hmm. All right. You ready, Simply? Should we just hop right into it?
I'm ready. Let's go get them.
All right, first category, like we've already alluded to, I think this year was a lot of just sitting on the couch consuming content for people.
Yeah.
Not allowed to leave the house, see friends, so a lot of people just have been binge watching movies and TV shows. So category number 1, Menchie.
Category
number
1
is what is the best and worst television/streaming series that you saw this year? Do you want to go first?
So I have a few. I wrote notes so I didn't forget.
Okay. I guess that's allowed.
I liked Tiger King. I think that...
was that this year?
That was this year, right? Wait, was it? Yeah,
Actually,
it was early this year.
God, that feels like a lifetime ago.
Well, that's what everything feels like in quarantine. I just thought it was really well done because it was surprising. Like, it was the most shocking, like, what the heck are we watching? And when you tell someone, you have to watch Tiger King, they usually roll their eyes and like, I don't want to watch a show about tigers. Like, how could that possibly be interesting? So I think that alone, like the fact that it was really quite interesting, even though it doesn't look like it's interesting just based on the title, kind of got me and made me put it on my list. I also liked Dirty John, which I think the first season might have actually come out in 2019, but the second season, the version with the female lead, Betty, I think was her name. Yeah. You never saw it. I watched this alone. I thought it was really well done. It was based on a true story. So,
okay.
That's good.
A true story about what?
You don't actually want to hear
I don't want to
this.
hear like 5 different things you liked. Tell me one you really liked and tell me why you liked it.
It was about a woman who was accused and did murder her husband and his new wife. But she has a long history.
It's a feel-good story.
No, it's like a murder mystery is the way they presented it. Okay. But as a result of all of this, there was a lot of challenging of the divorce laws in the States. So it goes back to the 80s and the 90s. So for that reason, I found it really interesting, especially that it was based on a true story. It was like a dramatization of the true story, but I thought it was really well done.
Okay.
Then Chernobyl.
Oh, okay. We watched this together. Yeah. Chernobyl, yeah.
We watched that together. That's an incredibly sad story, again, based on a true one.
So this came out a while back, a couple years ago, I think. But we only watched it this year because I guess we got HBO.
Maybe it was recently available on HBO, so I just think, therefore, it's 2020.
Yeah. a very well done miniseries. The miniseries has kind of made a comeback.
Yeah.
It's hip now.
And then another miniseries we watched that I really liked was The Challenger, The Final Flight.
Okay.
Which was another true story.
Another feel good.
This one was a documentary rather than a reenactment about
the Challenger space
the
shuttle
spaceship
disaster.
that ultimately crashed and killed astronauts and a teacher.
Yeah, it was going to be the first flight to have a civilian on board, and they rushed the launch even though the weather wasn't good.
Yeah.
And
For
the
PR.
space shuttle blew up because the O-rings couldn't handle the change in the temperature.
And there was a lot of PR and political questions of NASA's mission and motives after that. So I just thought that was really interesting, like relearning pieces of history, I guess, is kind of what I spent my time doing.
Okay, so I guess I didn't do my homework well because you had like 5 answers. I only have like one answer. So,
What's
so
your
those,
number one?
Those are your best, right?
Yeah.
If I had to pick one show I really enjoyed this year, it would be The Queen's Gambit.
That was good.
On Netflix. Very successful show. I think it's single-handedly made like chess like 5 times more popular this year than it has been in the past few years.
Well,
like,
you started playing chess.
yeah, I'll just hop on chess.com. So I saw Mr. Beast tweeting out that he's like playing chess now, and I guess he's like, there's some streamers who play chess, like some really like master chess players who will live stream them playing chess. It's actually pretty fascinating to watch because you see how they see the game on a different level.
Yeah.
Like they'll show you how they're thinking like 30 moves ahead of where they currently are in a match.
Wow.
But that show I thought was like, I don't think I'm giving anything away. It came out a while ago, like spoiler alert, yada, yada. But it's a story about a orphaned sort of child genius who is a chess prodigy. She's a woman in a man's world when it comes to chess. And it's really less about chess than it is about the sort of madness of genius and her sort of struggling with that. But it hits all the right notes. It's sort of a feel-good story in the same way any good sports movie is a story. Like, at its core, or a huge aspect of it is like, can the American beat the Russian? And it really reminds me of some of those old sports movies like Rocky or some of those old hockey classics where it's just like the American hero against the Russian in a way. So it kind of checks those notes. But I find it was really good because it didn't fall into some of like the obvious tropes of storytelling that I think it could have, right? So there's this, you think there might be conflict with her mother, her adopted mother early on because she becomes her manager. And it sort of hints that, oh, maybe that will lead to some tension in the relationship. And it sort of dangles that in front of you and says like, no, that's not going to be an issue. And even like the way they treat her substance abuse, it would be so obvious or easy to tell a story about how the fact that as an in the orphanage, she got addicted to tranquilizers. And it would have been so easy to just make the story all about substance abuse and how that got in the way of her success. But I thought it told a much more nuanced, not obvious story around those sort of challenges.
I agree with you that it's sometimes refreshing to get the take that isn't just the most predictable, but I was still very frustrated in the first few episodes that there wasn't much commentary about how negatively, like, life-changing her substance abuse could have been. Like, there wasn't any warning. It was like, yeah, I'm just addicted to this, no big deal. And I think that probably doesn't send the best message. So I remember like 3 episodes in, I was like, I hope they're gonna like have a lesson here, because I don't like the way this is presenting.
But like this isn't an after-school special, you know what I mean?
I can
Like,
appreciate that, and I know
yeah, I don't think
it's not their responsibility to teach lessons about substance abuse. I just thought that the first few episodes in, I was feeling a little like weird about how they weren't presenting it in any like, you know, you have to explain why this is not a good thing.
Well, but I mean, but I don't think it glamorized it at the same time. And ultimately, it kind of culminates with an acceptance that
Yeah.
I don't want to just give away the
There
ending.
was a conversation that the character had later on that did reify that, yeah, this isn't so good for her. But just the first few
And she
episodes
doesn't need
in.
it to be good at chess. Anyway, I
Right.
don't want to get too much into it. Queen's Gambit was a very good series, I thought. That was my best.
So
of
what was
2020.
your worst?
Oh, just very recently, I watched The Flight Attendant. I guess this was on HBO. I think I watched it because who did I see saying it was good? I think Linz DeFranco. I saw she had tweeted about it saying it was good. So I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. I did not get it at all. Maybe I just have a grudge against Kaylee Cuoco because she was on what I think is maybe the worst television show ever made, The Big Bang Theory. So maybe I just held that against her. But I thought the show was just super goofy. In this, you know how we brought up like Home Alone last week?
Yeah.
And how silly it is that there were all these shows about like children outsmarting criminals. This show was kind of that, except it was like
Young adults.
dumb alcoholic flight attendant outsmarts mastermind international criminal organization. And it takes like the same amount of disbelief and fantasy to believe that as, you know, the kid in Home Alone beating the crap out of two home invasion robbers.
So I didn't watch the whole thing with you, but I watched a few episodes and I was like, I
Not
don't
into
like
it.
it. The whole show like gives me anxiety. I don't know if it's the music or the tone.
Okay.
It's just like too much, too much, too much. I can't do it.
So what was your worst TV show of the year, Christine?
So it's not a fair response because I didn't watch all of it because I couldn't. But I tried to watch The Crown.
For like, what,
Because
5 minutes?
I am interested in it, and I have heard that the more recent episodes or seasons of it like have Princess Diana in it, so I was interested. But I wanted to watch from the beginning, so I went to season 1. Like I couldn't get past like episode 2.
Is it just too slow and dry? Not enough things blowing up?
Well, it's not that. It's just like it's a whole other world that I guess I don't have an interest in. Maybe that's what it is. Like I'm just not interested in the princess monarchy. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I think
not.
that's fair. Like some people seem really into historical dramas around that sort of era and context. Like Downton Abbey was like a hugely popular show, and I tried watching that back in the day. And like, I guess if you don't have an interest in the sort of politics or social norms of that specific historical context, I just don't know why you would be so
I mean,
pulled to that
some
content.
of it does interest me, especially the gender norms in that era. And there is some of that in the first episode that I was like, oh, interesting. But then, like, I don't know, it was just kind of boring overall. I don't know. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry if you really like that show. Maybe I do need to watch more episodes, but I just couldn't get into it.
Okay, so there's the series portion. Okay, category 2,
What's that?
music. So
Music.
who was your favorite? What was the best and worst of music for you in 2020? So it could be album, artist, genre, whatever.
So I don't really, and maybe this is just a new thing in the last 10 years, but I don't really listen to music in such a specific way. Like so-and-so band came out with a new album. I am now going to download / in the past buy the CD album and listen to them in a row and consider that a piece of this time. I kind of discover songs randomly and they didn't just necessarily come out, and it's usually a YouTube music algorithm that has just like
You
found
just
it
end
for
up
me.
in a
I just end
playlist
up
and-
somewhere.
okay.
Yeah.
So what cool new music did you?
But I looked through the playlist that I've been listening to recently because I was like, what the heck did I listen to this year and did it come out? And I did discover through this research that I really do like the new Tame Impala album, The Slow Rush.
Okay.
Which I couldn't even tell you the name of the album until I deliberately looked it up because that's just not how I listen to music in 2020. But in particular, the song Is It True? Which I know you guys, if you watch my stories, have heard so many times because I'll put it on like in the beginning of a workout or I'll be painting my nails and I'll be grooving to it. And everyone always asks like, what's that song? It's often Tame Impala, Is It True?
Yeah. So I think you're in the norm here and I'm the outlier, but I still think there's a lot of value in getting an album and sort of listening to it sequentially.
I think like people have done that with Taylor Swift, for example, her recent albums for sure. And if you're a big Taylor fan, I can understand doing that and doing it in chronological order to get the experience that she's trying to deliver. I guess I'm not that attached to any particular artist, so it's not really how I listen to music anymore.
Yeah, I guess I just sort of miss the art of an album telling a story. And actually, it's funny you just said that because my album of the year is Folklore by Taylor
Really?
Swift.
Are you just saying that to be like
I am
cool?
not just saying that to
Ben.
like be a
Wait,
contrarian
I have a
or
question. Are you a Swiftie?
I might be a Swiftie. No, okay. I have a real appreciation. Like she came out with an album before this. I don't know if it was early this year or last year. That was kind of very mediocre, let's say.
Which one was that?
Lover, I think. Or maybe that was a single. I don't know. Anyway, I really have an appreciation for she is the kind of person who could just be pumping out pop ballads and making billions of dollars that way.
Right.
And she might be one of the best people at making those big pop ballads like she did on some of her albums from, I don't know, like 5 years ago.
You got bad
Bad Blood. Yeah, that era, right? But to see her take this more mature turn and
Mm-hmm.
almost do more folk music and work with people like Bon Iver, one of my favorite artists, and the guy from The National as well, I just think it's a really cool evolution to see from
Yeah.
her.
I love the songs with Bon Iver.
Yeah.
In fact, I like those are my favorite songs, and specifically the part where Justin is singing. But that's because
I
I
know
just
what you
really
mean.
love Bon Iver's whole vibe and the way they make music, and I always have. So
Absolutely. One of the best live music I've ever seen was them when they were touring after their self-titled album. And you're right. If Bon Iver had come out with a new album this year, I'm probably picking them instead of Taylor Swift. But I just
yeah.
want to give a shout out to the Swifties out there. I do have a runner-up, though. I just need to quickly
Who?
mention that my favorite songwriter of all time, Bob Dylan, came out with an album this year
He
in
did?
2020.
There's
So
no way he can still sing.
that's kind of the insane thing why I want to bring it up. Like, this is a guy, I think his first album came out in 1962. So
How
I think
old
he
is
must
he?
have set some sort of record for how many decades he has spanned. So in early 60s, he would have been like 18 or like 20 years old, right? So he's at least 80.
So was it good?
So here's the thing. It's probably the best album he's put out since the 90s. I think it's really unfair because he just came out with like these masterpieces that I don't think will ever be touched in the late 60s. And I think it's kind of really unfair to like constantly judge his new music by that standard. But I think it's the best album he's put out in a long time. And you still see the sort of glimmer or glimpses of brilliance in it that he had back in the day as well. Like his voice is completely different. He kind of sounds like a garbage disposal, you know? It's kind of just super raspy from
Yeah.
decades of
I wonder. I
smoking
don't
and
think many people listening to this podcast have probably listened to
to the
recent
new
Bob Dylan.
Taylor Swift and Bob Dylan. They
What's
should
the
do a
worst?
duet. What's the worst? Do you want to go first, or
I don't know. I don't know if I wrote anyone down. I think I.
you don't want to be too mean? I can go first if you want, because there's no one thing I want to pick out, but I guess this is a sign I'm getting old and I'm not cool anymore. But anytime I heard rap music this year,
Not any rap music.
most rap music I heard this year and like new rap or hip hop music, I kind of found myself just like rolling my eyes at the lyrics. And I'm like, wow, like when I was a teenager or young man, I would have listened to music like this all the time and really enjoyed
did.
it. And
Yeah.
I would have heard my parents complaining about it being like a bad influence and misogynistic, and I would have just rolled my eyes at that, right? But I guess increasingly as I'm getting older, when I hear music, obviously there's counterexamples and there's like more socially conscious or
Yeah. So don't say all rap.
I don't want to
'cause-
paint with too
yeah.
broad a brush, you know, like Chance the Rapper, Kendrick Lamar. There are rap
yeah,
hip
for
hop
sure.
artists who are doing, I think, really interesting and creative things. But I think there's also this trend towards just like blatant misogyny in modern rap music. You see from a lot of the guys with names like Little Pump and Little this and Little that and Little drug use, and they're just glorifying drug use and talking about women really horribly.
Yeah.
And I guess increasingly as I get older, I just look at that music as just like not good.
I think that means you're just getting
I
old,
think
Dad.
I'm just an old man dad.
I can
Okay.
think of a song that was not well received. It's a cover, actually. It was the cover of the song Imagine that was sung by a bunch of celebrities in their mansions during quarantine when they were telling everyone else, it's okay. But I'm here in my $10 million LA mansion.
You want to bring this up again. In retrospect, yeah, that was super tone deaf.
Yeah.
Those people were coming from
Yeah, I know that. I understand that. But it was a moment, let's say, of 2020
It was
that
a
everyone kind of rolls their eyes at. So
yeah. You know what's funny? That song is kind of beautiful in a way about,
it was ruined.
imagining a world. Well, I think what kind of ruins it too is knowing John Lennon, the guy who wrote it, was also a really shitty human being in a lot of ways.
Oh, was he?
And maybe that's an important lesson that you can find a lot of beauty and inspiration from people. But like those people can also be really messed up and flawed and dark people too. And you shouldn't expect anyone to be some
To be
example of perfect. Yeah.
And no one's perfect.
Yeah, but he was a pretty awful guy in a lot of ways in his personal life.
I am not aware.
Just so you know.
What's next, Ben?
Category 3. What was the best and worst purchase you made in 2020?
Let me tell
Oh,
you.
this gets you excited. You bought a lot of random crap off Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. I have two. of the best.
Okay.
And they are both pretty reasonably priced. There's no like Birkin bag shit or whatever. The number one thing that everyone should invest in who works from home, studies from home, or just like exists at home by a computer
Okay.
is a desk warmer for your tea mug / coffee mug.
Is that right?
So it's just an electric thing. You plug it in. You can get it for like 20 to 40 bucks off Amazon. And I use it everywhere that I drink tea. So I have one in this room. I have one in my office. I have one in my nail studio downstairs while I'm like swatching. I can't live without it now. It's such a good investment. I even bought one for all my friends or a few friends from work. I gave it to them. I gave one to my sister. Like, it's just such a good purchase. So I'll leave a link for that down below.
Yeah, is there a specific brand? Like, you can find a lot of these kind
the
of
brand,
generic.
in my experience, and I've tried a few brands just to see, like, does not matter. They're all basically the same. It's just like brands put their own label on the same product. It's kind of what I've noticed.
I know at one point I'd looked into you. There's a company that makes mugs that you can pair with your cell phone. And the mug itself keeps the liquid warm. And you can tell it through your phone how warm you want it. And it sounds really cool.
But you're a prisoner to that mug.
Exactly. It entirely depends on you being okay with using that mug always.
And that mug is not big enough. I'm very particular about my tea mugs. So this desk warmer, you can put any ceramic mug on it and it'll warm it. Okay. So smart.
Anything that warms on a hot plate.
Yeah, it's basically a hot plate, but not as dangerous. It's not an open flame.
I mean, how safe is that? Is it the chance those are just going to explode one day?
Well, they all have auto offs. Not this one, but the other ones, like they have an auto off. If you take the mug off, then it will turn off because it doesn't have the weight on it. So it has a weight sensor. So that's smart. But I usually unplug it like when I'm it's
probably a good idea.
Yeah. And then the other purchase that I bought more recently, also from Amazon, I'll leave another link, is the Galaxy projector lights, which kind of went viral in Instagram ads. I didn't end up buying from the particular ad that was impressed upon me. I just went on Amazon and found my own that had good reviews.
Could you describe? So what are you talking about? So people who don't know.
It's like the descriptions often say for kids, which I I find very funny. But it seems like it's been co-opted by marketers targeting teens and younger people as like a rave kind of light rather than like a kid's light. Okay. But if you look up like kids Galaxy projector, you'll find exactly what I'm talking about. It's basically like a light that has plastic over it in different shapes. So when the light shines through the plastic, it kind of reflects in different patterns on your ceiling. And sometimes they move and you can change colors with the remote. It's just LED lights.
Yeah, it's just a way of putting a pattern of lights on your ceiling in different colors.
And I find it very calming. And it's fun to, take swatch videos on my cell phone or Snapchat with it in the background. And it's really fun in the background when you're on Zoom calls. And it's just like, I personally really like mood lighting. Or like neon lights like we have on this podcast. I hate overhead lighting. It gives me migraines. So any kind of colored fun lamp I can put in the corner just like helps my mood. So.
Yeah. And it's great if you want your room to have like a teenage girl aesthetic.
Oh, come on. It's not just teen. It's like a spa aesthetic also. You can put it on like blue mode. It's really nice and calming. Okay. It's not just for teenage girls.
I don't mean to be too... Okay, he as long as you... I don't like it at all.
It's such a good purchase. All I'm saying is there's not even that expensive. You can find them for like 40 bucks.
Okay. Well, what was your worst purchase of 2020?
Probably something also from Amazon because it's kind of hit and miss. I think that dust collector for your nail dust. Remember that?
Oh, from the video.
I made a Simply Nailogical video on worst rated Amazon products.
Yeah, so this should be an obvious answer.
And one of them was like it looked like a weird accordion robot.
It's like a vacuum.
It was a vacuum for, I guess, when you file your nail. Well, no, it's for acrylic nails mostly because that makes more dust. But like it didn't really work that well. It was just weird. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
What about you?
What about me? My favorite purchase was probably the massage table I bought for you. Not because you've gotten a ton of use out of it, but Menchie enjoys it very much. Little boo-boo.
They do.
Sometimes we'll hear her. I wonder if we could even just insert this clip into the podcast because it's insane. Like, we'll go to bed and Menchie kind of likes to roam around the house. And we've noticed she spends a lot of time on the massage table. And she does weird things on there, like she's bouncing around and meowing really strangely. Something about that table brings out the wild side in Menchie. So
It's like she's possessed.
it's like her own little play structure or something.
Well, I lie on the massage table after every time I do cardio, because then I do my physio exercises on the massage table, just because it happens to be right beside the treadmill.
Yeah.
And then I think like my sweat has gone on the table as a result.
So you think your scent is driving her
I think
crazy?
she smells me on the table. We should probably clean the table.
Maybe, yeah. Probably wipe it down. So yeah, that was a fun purchase this year. Worst purchase. I think way back at the start of 2020, I bought some nice-ish clothes, like a dress shirt or
Why
two.
would you do that?
Pants. Well, it was pre-pandemic, right?
You thought you'd need them for work.
I am never going to wear those clothes
yeah.
ever, right?
Yeah.
And maybe if I could give one more answer, the worst purchase, or it's not really a purchase, it's the thing I couldn't buy. It was impossible to get your hands on any of the 2 new video game systems this year. And I think that's a big fail, a big nope.
Cardi B has like 6 of them, though.
How do you know that?
She shared it in her story, or I don't know. She has like 6 of them.
Is she selling them on eBay?
I don't know what
Maybe
she's doing
she's
with
part
them.
of the problem. But basically, yes, scalpers bought up all these new systems.
So you can't play the newest video games.
I can't play the new video games.
You can only play the older video games.
I know. Boo-hoo. All right, next category. We're pivoting towards YouTube content, right? So the next 2 categories are best and worst YouTube video you saw this year and best and worst online creator of 2020.
Great. Thanks, Ben.
We might sort of dance around the negative aspect of this, but let's start with YouTube video. What was the best YouTube video you saw in 2020?
That's really tough because there's a whole bunch of good, fun ones. But I think more recently, and you brought this to my attention, I just find it so funny and ironic. And I guess that's what I like, is that video game Donkey, the guy that you watch that Ben's a fan of. He recently did a thing where he was basically making fun of other gamers who didn't put much effort into their content anymore. And said, that's all I'm going to do this week. We're going to do Minecraft Mondays.
Among Us Thursdays.
And he was just like, it was a joke. But then he actually did it. And he made them like super short and like not good on purpose.
Yeah, Drama Mondays.
But it worked. And all of a sudden he has far more views on those videos.
Yeah, so there's kind of a double edge to this, right? He proved a point.
Yeah.
But he also got a lot of success and made some interesting, ironic content. So maybe some context for people. He came out with a video, said, I'm not making good content anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he has a pretty good point that when you look at someone like him puts a lot of effort into their videos historically. You could tell, like, he'll play a video game for 100 hours and then condense that down to like an 8-minute video that is very creatively edited, and you can tell some thought and effort went into the writing and scripting of it. And it must be so frustrating for someone like that to see a lot of popular streamers who just upload content every day of them just playing a game and reacting very loudly to it. And that's what a lot of like gaming content kind of is, and to see those people being way more successful than people putting a lot of effort into videos. I agree with this argument, but there's something I actually kind of reject about this criticism in a way, as much as I like the guy, in that this isn't a zero-sum game, you know? Like, this is kind of like someone who makes like a really good TV show that does well and gets good ratings and critics love it, complaining that The Big Bang Theory is the most popular TV show on television. Like, people watching dummies enjoying The Big Bang Theory isn't preventing people from enjoying your HBO miniseries that is really well done. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think he understands that. He's just being funny.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I didn't think it was that deep.
I think some people have this attitude like, oh, YouTube's only supporting these like corporate creators now and things like that, when really, like, you can make your good content, whatever you subjectively think good is, and there's still a place for that. And a guy like Donkey is probably done, unless his content's demonetized way more than I'm aware, he's probably done very well for himself.
Yeah, he's
on
not
YouTube,
saying
right?
he hasn't done well, but he turned this into a joke, and I just thought it was really funny because I really appreciate parody. It's something I used to do a lot of in the past, like with Troom Troom videos, and we would parody the dumb Troom Troom shit sometimes. Yeah. So I liked that series, I guess, of
I get it. I think
videos.
he's still doing it.
Is he
I think
still
he's
like
keeping up the
what?
joke. Yeah.
Like that is funny. It's ironic. It's sarcastic, and I
Yeah,
guess that's
no,
my
no,
favorite
I'm
style.
not disagreeing. I'm just maybe I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm a huge fan of that guy,
Yeah.
and I thought it was pretty brilliant what he did there too. It's a good
So,
answer.
what's your most favorite YouTube video?
I guess I kind of have two answers. One is I fell down this rabbit hole of watching this guy called Jaume NYC.
Is that the guy
I think I showed a few clips.
multiple languages?
So there's this like young, very white looking generic dude in New York who is, there's a word for people who are like really good at learning languages.
Polyglot.
Polyglot? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he'll learn like Mandarin and Taiwanese and like more uncommon dialects like Fujianese. And then he'll walk into like really authentic restaurants in some area of Chinatown. And he walks in like he's just going to be the white tourist who's asking for like the General Tao's chicken. But then he just starts speaking like their native dialects to them. And you
And
see
just
the
shocks
reactions
them.
of these people just being amazed that this white
Yeah.
dude can talk to them. And it's kind of like almost like subtly inspiring in the way that like the language barrier being broken down can bring people together, but it's more just fascinating from the sense of just seeing people's, it's like a lighthearted like prank video almost in a way because
Yeah.
they're having these reactions like I
Yeah.
can't believe this guy's talking to me.
Yeah, it's feel good prank.
Yeah.
If you want to call it prank, it's not really a prank. Like he actually can speak the language.
I guess that's kind of a cheat of an answer because it's not like a single video. If I had to just pick like one video I enjoyed, I think this year Mark Rober came out with that squirrel video, right? That went viral. And I think that's a good example of like the kind of content that can still be successful on YouTube that isn't super corporate and backed by a bunch of sponsors. It's just, I mean, obviously he has a lot of support and success, but it's just some engineer in his backyard decides one day he wants to feed some birds. He realizes squirrels are he's stealing all the bird food. So he comes up with a clever way of building an obstacle course to see how clever squirrels can be in terms of getting the bird food. And it's like pretty, he basically builds an obstacle course, like a Ninja Warrior style course for squirrels. And like, he's a brilliant guy. He's like, he used to work for NASA, right? Like, so he's a really intelligent, like he's an engineer, right? But it's kind of like an amazing, it's the kind of content you want to still see being successful on YouTube, a kind of DIY spirit to it, even if he's a guy with a lot of means and education and background in it. Yeah, that's my best.
So who's your worst?
Worst video?
The worst YouTube video you saw in 2020.
I mean, usually the answer to this, people will just say rewind, which I always thought was kind of unfair, you know? Like, I think people always had these expectations that rewind could be something it wasn't.
But YouTube
But there
didn't
was
make
no,
a rewind.
there was no rewind this
You're
year.
gonna be like, did I miss something?
Well, like, what's the upside to it? And this year just would have been really hard to do anything. Maybe the answer is that music. Okay, let's not go there. All right, maybe we should just skip to the next
Ben,
category.
Next question.
Okay, creator. Best and worst creator of the year, Christine.
That's not fair.
Just, okay, we could just do the best for this one if you don't want to be mean.
Hold on, let me check my notes. I mean, I do have an answer for worst, actually.
Oh, do you? Mm-hmm. Okay, this should be interesting.
It is any and all creators who were irresponsible this year and did things that were against public health guidance and that I believe have now poorly influenced their followers and also demonstrated big acts of privilege. All of which things that I don't like. I don't like them.
No, I think that's a very reasonable answer, and that's not one we have to dance around. People who were...
And here's the thing, I can't even pinpoint one or two people because it's been dozens. It's been dozens of YouTubers or online creators who've been doing this. So
That's a good point, right? It would be easy to just be like, Jake Paul kind of became the face of it for a while because...
yeah, but that wouldn't be fair because there's so many more people now
No, but like he was quoted in articles basically
saying he doesn't care.
basically promoting like that it's a hoax, right? Which is just like the height of irresponsibility. But I agree with you, like that's like the obvious worst example maybe. But then there's a ton of really popular people who have still been doing collabs, still going to birthday parties with tons of people there.
Still hosting
despite how
Christmas
bad
parties.
things have been in LA specifically too. Like
Yeah.
it's really gross and
There's been a lot of
disappointing.
hypocrisy too. Like people tweeting like, be safe, be responsible, just because, that's the thing you should do as a responsible creator, but then also demonstrating behavior that is the opposite of what they said. So when I see that, I am rolling my eyes behind the scenes, but I'm just not really saying anything because it's not about calling out one individual. There's just too many. There is really just too many. So I feel like I was talking about this with my coworkers actually because I just feel so disappointed and the fact that I am connected to my YouTube peers just by nature of being on the same platform. Like I'm a YouTuber, they're a YouTuber. And sometimes when YouTubers do bad things, it reflects poorly on you because you are also of that breed
you
or
get a
in
bit of
that industry.
stink as well.
And so I feel like secondhand embarrassment that there's other people, like huge people on this platform doing that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a totally fair and not at all petty answer without singling people out. If you want to start in a negative aspect, I could kind of similarly think this was a big year for politics, right? It was an election year in the States. And I noticed more than ever, I guess because I watch some political content, especially this year, how much awful political commentary there is on YouTube. And I think it's a healthy thing for YouTube to be a space to find a diversity of viewpoints and healthy political discourse. That I don't at all want to say like YouTube should be censoring things or anything like that. But I think what I realize is there's a lot of, I guess people call them grifters. There's a lot of people who make content that are purely just leveraging people's heightened emotions and the divisions in the country to their benefit to just get more views and more money, even when I don't think they even really believe what they're saying. So you'll have people who really pump out a lot of content about how awful woke people are, and they'll just like make fun of SJWs. And this has been a thing on YouTube for a while. I guess just a lot of it was really, I was shocked at how much of it was ending up on my recommended feed this year.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me, I don't think it's unfair to say, I think a lot of these people don't really even believe the arguments they're making or the criticisms they're making of these people. They just know it's going to play well, even though it is hurting your democracy. Who cares? I just want to make content that's going to get millions of views where I make fun of people for their political beliefs and further divide people. But I don't care about that. I'm just going to make money off of my YouTube videos.
There's definitely been a lot of selfishness and greed that I've noticed. Exactly like what you just said is another example this year. That and people, partying and collabing, showing their privilege. But yes.
Okay,
anyways,
let's get off the negative train.
I'm just angry.
All right, let's flip things upside down. Who are some of the best creators? If there's only one person, maybe just someone you could give a shout out to who you've enjoyed their content this year.
I mean, there's so many people. I don't want to just say one person because
Well,
then
it's
it's
a
like
good
you
thing.
forget about this person. You go first.
Okay, I'll say GB ASMR. So you know this, right? Because I'll often watch it at night, and I've only recently gotten into this. And here's the thing: people talk about like, oh, I get tingles and ASMR makes me feel good. I don't get that at all. But this has been I have found this to be a very stressful year for a lot of like personal and professional reasons, a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And I've just felt like I've been very high strung. And I've found lately that it just helps at night to have someone whisper to me. And does that sound weird? It's just calming to just like turn something on of someone just sort of gently, and like some of the content is really bizarre with all due respect to GB and people like she's like telling me I'm an elf with big ears, and like there's all these like role playing things, and she's like, oh, you got big ears, the inspector's coming to look at your ears, and I'm like,
It's too much wax.
there's some and it doesn't really matter what she's saying. I just like the sort of vibes and the atmosphere. It just helps me relax.
That's how I feel about my galaxy light. See, everyone has something that helps them relax.
Okay. That's good. Okay, so there's my answer. Come on, you must have. Someone whose content you've watched this year and enjoyed?
Okay, this year I've been watching a lot of fitness content.
Okay.
I guess. Stephanie Buttermore.
Yeah.
I really like her. I also like Natasha Ocean. Ocean? I don't know. It's French.
Sure.
Maybe. But yeah, like there's just a lot of people I've been watching this year, a little bit more in the fitness and health domain, because that's what I'm into. And it's probably something you wouldn't expect I'd be watching. I feel like people would expect me to watch, I don't know, Troom or like nail videos
I don't
or
think
something.
they expect that.
But like, yeah, I watch stuff outside of that. And this year in particular has been watching more fitness stuff, which has been kind of inspiring and just like cool to hear and good to get techniques
It
and like
kept you motivated this year.
motivated, but also like practical advice, because I haven't seen a trainer or had a trainer since pre lockdown. So I'm kind of alone on my own in my gym basement trying to figure it out, and watching some YouTube videos of people who have figured it out how to do this at home has like helped me. So yeah, I would say that.
Maybe the reason this question was a little more difficult to answer for us is because YouTube looked very different in 2020 from our perspective anyway. You know, we're, I think, a little less tuned into who the new popular people are. A lot of popular people seem to be people who have come over from TikTok, and it very much reminds me of, you know, when a bunch of people came over from Vine. And I'm not sure I was the biggest fan.
The cycle repeats.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar thing going on right now. But I don't think it's a secret that a lot of the people we really like, some people we're friendly with behind the scenes, stopped making content this year. And I'm not just talking about one person. I think this year was hard on a lot of people's mental health, and particularly people who have been making online content for years and have been public personas on the internet for years. And yeah, it's not a coincidence. I think you've seen a slowdown of a lot of people who were popular on YouTube a few years ago in terms of how they're making content now. So yeah, I think there's definitely been a sort of generational shift, and I'm not sure we have kept up with it so much.
Yeah, well, I admit, and I used to think I kept up with trends and like I knew what fidget spinners were when like they came out.
That's
I
the
knew
example.
I made hollow slime when slime was big 3 years ago. Like I was, you know,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
on
you
the
were
trend.
memeing it, but-
I was memeing and yes, they were parodies for sure. But these days all I know is like maybe sometimes Snapchat Daily Mail will tell me what's going on in TikTok world, but I have no idea for myself what's going on in TikTok world because I do not follow any of these young women and men, and I don't follow them on YouTube, and I have no idea who's dating who cheated on who, and like occasionally I'll see a headline and it's some huge story, and I'm like, I have no idea who these people are.
Like I watch the H3 pod sometimes, and I think that's the closest I come to like keeping up with more generic what is going on in YouTube land. Not to say there's like just one narrative about what is going on YouTube, right? Like it's really just fragmented in all these different niches anyway.
Right.
But I think we do feel a little more out of the loop, and your approach to making content these days is very sort of insular, and whatever you feel like doing, it's I think less referential to like the broader culture of YouTube, let's
No,
say.
for sure. In the past, there was always a video like, oh, what big trend is going on? I'll do my take on that trend. Whereas this past year, I haven't really done that.
So do you have any perspective on, you know, any predictions for what we'll see on YouTube in 2021 in terms of like how content is changing?
A lot of TikTok dances where people barely move. That's my
Shady, Cristine.
No, I mean that like I just don't get it. I'm serious. Can we talk about this? How we've kind
Sure.
of not I do not understand TikTok dances.
I mean-
Some of them anyways. Some of them are very, you know, like there's a powerful statement behind it. There's some impressive moves. Absolutely, I have seen some of them. But then some of the more generic, low-key ones that like just the most popular person is doing and it's what they do every day. And they're like barely moving. And there's just like one finger and they're like, Like I don't understand because I did dance class for maybe 8 years of my life.
Sure.
And so I have a history in like dancing as a teenager, I guess. And I grew up in it, and it was very deliberate, you know, expressive movements to create, you know, a story through dance, whether it was jazz, hip hop, tap, ballet, whatever. And the TikTok dances are like that minus 200. Like there's just there's very little movement, and I'm just confused.
So I want to say, I think some of them are actually talented dancers.
I agree,
But the point of TikTok isn't look how good I am at dancing.
It's look how effortless this is.
No, I think a lot of it's trends, like, oh, this new song is going around TikTok and there is a dance for it. I'm going to do that dance. And to make that accessible to a lot of the very young children watching, I think it tends to be very basic and simple. That's
So they make it easy so
my
children
very
can replicate it.
superficial understanding. And also, like, maybe there's less to understand here than we need to think about. Like,
It's not that deep.
a lot of what is successful on TikTok is just,
Simple.
how do I put this in a way that doesn't sound creepy? Like, the young, attractive people on TikTok that are super successful are just sort of eye candy for children in a lot of ways.
But how is that eye candy for children?
You know what I mean? Like, it's 13-year-old, like the guys who are popular on TikTok who just, take their shirt off and
Look at
have
my abs.
abs and barely dance. We're not really talking about talent as much as we're talking about a lot of 13, 14-year-old girls are watching that content.
So it's like
and I don't think it's
the
deeper
modern
than
day J14 magazine, but it moves just a little.
Yeah, and it has barely any more personality than the page of a magazine. You know what I mean?
We are literally 32 years old. We're like trying to understand. I'm trying to understand the appeal.
Ignore the TikTok train for a second, though. Like, when I think a trend we're seeing, and I don't know if this is a YouTube trend or just internet content trend, is, a lot of people we know and like have moved over to Twitch. And I think a lot of people we're inclined to watch have been making content on Twitch lately. And the thing that sticks out the most to me about that and live streaming in general is just that it's... the CEO of Shopify used this term to refer to gaming content, I think. And he said, like, ambient gaming. And it just meaning, like, content where it's not that, like, you're watching the video game gameplay and that's what's important. The experience of just being in a chat room with a bunch of people watching a game, and the game is almost background noise to the experience of a bunch of people sharing in that experience of being in the same place is what is important. And I think Twitch is similarly like that place for ambient content. People like can turn on a 6-hour live stream, chat with some like-minded people in the comment section. There isn't this expectation that there's 6 hours of content coming at you that's exciting and engaging and always on, and people will just like eat on stream. And it's almost just like these places to hang out and feel like some sense of togetherness or connectedness, right?
I really like that, and it appeals to me, but I just don't know how to get into it.
What, live streaming?
Well, I don't know, and this is no promises to our listeners. I'm sorry.
Check out Simply on Twitch in
But
2021.
for 6 years now, I've been making YouTube videos that were mostly quick cut, edit, crazy, wow, hollow, excited. Obviously, if you watch that in real time, it was not that. But the edited final cut is that, because that's a style I liked and it was accessible, and I believe that people enjoyed that. But over time, it gets exhausting for you if you are creating that type of content. And so I've been very keen on, like, I'm interested in what would it be like if I did a live stream where I was just normally painting my nails, as I do every week anyways, but just talking to people and it not being about, like, oh my God, look, it's hollow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we do that on this podcast because this is a natural hour-long conversation.
In some way, this podcast is dabbling in just putting less pressure and expectations on things to always be loud and exciting. But, like, there have been some episodes of this podcast that are pretty boring, I think.
Sure.
And that's okay, right? Because people aren't tuning into this expecting to be inundated with jokes for an hour.
No, but they're tuning into this because they want to listen to a particular topic that you and I are offering opinions on. So I'm wondering, like, what would it look like if it were just me alone, which is a challenge, I think. And I admire people who can stream for 6 hours, basically talking to themselves and people in the chat. Mm-hmm. But this space right now is me and you talking to each other. There is no live chat integration. Yes, we take comments from you guys, which is great. And I love that aspect of it. But it's not really like a live chat. It's not a back and forth.
And are you saying you're maybe getting sick of just talking to me?
Is that?
I'm kidding. Well, we thought by now we'd probably be having guests on the pod, and we've sort of been inching towards that, although we've been reluctant to do that over Skype or Zoom and stuff, because we just feel it would be so much more intimate and ideal if we could have done it in person, but clearly it just would not be responsible to do that at this point.
Yeah, and we will maybe in the future. But what do you think, Ben? Should I live stream paint my nails, or is that really boring?
I think you should do whatever makes you happy. I think it might be boring, but I don't think that's an issue. You know what I mean? I don't think you need to worry about it being boring.
Yeah, I wonder if people just actually want to watch me paint my nails real time. They have questions about things like, how long do you let the base coat dry? I don't get into that on main channel videos because it just takes too long.
I don't think they'd be there to just watch you paint your nails. I think
wanna
they'd be there to
talk,
just sort of hang out, and maybe you look at the comments and you answer
But that's something I've been craving, because I realized the reason why I really like Twitter and why that is the app I'm engaging the most with people is because, to me anyways, it has the best reply system, where I can look at my notifications of just comments, filtered, not likes, because I see too many likes. Like on Instagram, it's useless because they mix likes with comments, so I can't possibly keep track from notifications. But on Twitter, I can. So I can have a much more meaningful like exchange or reply to someone's picture of the holo taco they got for Christmas and comment on it. And I really like that. So maybe in a live stream format, I guess I'm craving being able to talk back and forth with people and it actually be a bit more of a conversation that I can track. And the hardest part about most apps for anyone of my size is that you can't track them because there's too many.
Wow, okay. This is all news to me. I didn't know you felt this way.
Surprise!
Yeah, let's buy Cristine a gaming PC.
Yeah, I only have Mac, so I also don't know what to do.
Yeah, okay.
How do I stream on a Mac, guys? What am I doing?
Okay, let's follow up on this.
I don't even have a room to stream in.
See what happens in 2021. Okay.
Okay, surprise, but no promises because I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, that went on a while. Let's try to pump out a few more before we wrap it up, Cristine. I was going to say best and worst video game of 2020, but you probably don't have
I have zero knowledge to contribute.
So I'll just very quickly say, I know we had an episode where I talked about The Last of Us, and I thought it was a pretty brilliant cinematic experience, although I do agree with some of the criticisms of it. But if we're just talking about the game I enjoyed playing the most this year, it's actually not that game. It would be Ghosts of Tsushima.
Is that with Nobu?
Yeah, so Cristine saw me playing this game, and I'd be, I called my horse Nobu. You're a samurai. You go around either choosing the honorable path of being a samurai, or you could be the ghost who sneaks up on people and kills them without honor. Oh. And it was actually just a really fun and rewarding gameplay experience.
I just remember coming downstairs and I hear, "Oh, Nobu!" And I'm like, "What?" Yeah. So I just started saying that to Ben because it's all I knew.
So that was a really good game for PS4. Worst game was Dr. Jane Goodall's Great Ape Escape 2, because it came out this year, but they rushed the development of the game, and it came out like before it was actually finished. Mm-hmm. So it's super buggy. People have been asking for refunds. They suspended the sale of it on stores, and it's been a real sort of disaster, and people are asking for their money back. So that's disappointing.
Did you get your money back?
I got my money back.
You did? Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, Cristine. No video games. How about nail polish? Do you have anything to say, best and worst?
I wonder. Okay, well...
This is just going to be an ad.
I'll start with the worst. How's that?
Oh, okay.
The scented nail polish that I had you, my sister, and your brother test.
Yeah, your brother.
Specifically the Taco Tuesday one, because that just should not be a nail polish.
It should not exist.
Yeah.
So what company was that?
So that was Sinful Colors, and they were supposed to smell like a food.
Yeah.
And the foods were like cheese puffs, tacos, and pizza. Donuts, something like that.
They were savory or sweet.
Right.
And if I recall, you could kind of smell the difference between the ones that were supposed to be desserts and the ones that were supposed to be like...
a pizza.
Cheesy. But like it was just either they smelled like sweet, like powdered sugar, or they just smelled kind of like weirdly cheesy.
But the reason why they're the worst is not because they smell like food. I mean, that's kind of a gimmick and kind of fun. Whatever. Sure. It is what it is. It's because the nail polish itself, like they were trying to replicate a pizza in one of them with like a brown creme and like red glitters and white dot glitter. Like I'm sorry, but it does not work from a composition perspective.
You don't want pizza nails?
No, it just looks ugly.
I just don't want to be too I appreciate companies trying to think outside of the box and be creative there.
So I give them that, but just in terms of just subjectively or objectively, the nail polish on its own, if you forget that it's scented and it's kind of fun, like the composition for me, it was not it.
Okay. At the end of the day, it's nail polish. It has to work as nail polish, right?
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
Okay, so what was the best Simply?
Well,
Let me
yeah,
guess.
holo taco. No.
Actually, so maybe just
What was my favorite collection?
yeah, of the holo taco stuff that came out this year, what was your favorite release?
Okay, so I have two answers.
Oh,
So
not
my
allowed.
favorite collection, which I think will surprise people, was unicorn skin.
Oh, way back at the beginning of the
I know
year.
because I was excited for it, but did not anticipate how excited everyone else would be for it because it's not hollow, it's iridescent.
Yeah.
But everyone just fell in love with the way you could make nails look like opals, right? Like different colors of opals, and how if you layer it over the indigo way, which was the dark purple, versus the white, made it look so different. And people were just fascinated by that. And I guess I was just like used to that because I've, worked with unicorn skin, flakes or polishes for years now. So I know that they do that over different colors. But it was like I just taught that to a bunch of people who didn't know that yet. And so that was really exciting to me to learn that.
It's
And
fun
that's
to see
why,
other people experiencing
to
it
see
for the
people
first
realize
time.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's a totally different nail polish if you put it over a different color.
Doesn't have to be hollow.
Yeah. Anyway, so unicorn skin, I think,
Okay.
was my favorite collection for that reason. The box was also really cool, like iridescent box and different. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say rainbow because that was the one that.
Oh, well, okay. So my next answer, this is hard. My favorite formula that we developed has got to be the linear hollows, which was the
Okay.
the 7-piece rainbow collection. That is, I'm sorry, if you know, you
Chef's
know.
kiss.
If you know, you know. The linear hollow, the full coverage in one coat. Always do two anyways, but just amazing. And yeah, we're gonna do more with that formula.
I guess what's rewarding about that one is like people who don't know nail polish see it and think it's good, but for people who know nail polish, they know that
Yeah.
is a tricky thing to
They
get
know
right,
because
right?
it's just so hard to get super pigmented, rich colors, but also a really strong hollow flame in the linear finish.
And it took many
Many
months
attempts.
of
Yeah.
development to get
But
there.
yeah, but the team nailed it, so I'm super happy about that. And if
Cool.
I had to pick, sorry, I'm just going
How many
on now.
answers do we
If I had to pick one single polish that came out in 2020, I think I want to say mint money.
Really?
Yeah, that's the one I'm
Okay.
wearing on my middle finger. It's just like I love the finish, the frostiness. It's such a beautiful color that normally I'm not a green person on my nails. But I found myself wearing mint money on its own. Like even yes, now I'm wearing Christmas nails, but before that I was just like I actually just really love mint.
Maybe it's a good winter shade. Although I could say that about any of the metallic foils. What
Yeah, well, they're all supposed to be winter holidays shades.
Yeah,
But yeah, the mint I think is my favorite shade.
I like
from the
fake
year.
date, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, you want to be my fake date? So, what was your worst and favorite nail polish, Ben?
Oh, okay. I'm not going to give an answer here. The same way you didn't give an answer on video games.
Well, I don't play video games. You've worn my nail polish.
Well, I just said I liked fake date a lot.
Okay.
I don't have a least favorite nail polish. How
Yeah,
about
you
that?
better be careful.
All right, okay. Let's wrap it up here. Last category.
Mm-hmm.
What was the best and worst episode of this podcast in 2020,
Oh,
Christine?
God.
We've been doing this, almost a year. This is episode, 43? So 43 weeks we have uploaded a podcast to the internet. And some of them have been good. Some of them have been not good.
Remember, we started this before quarantine hit?
Like right
Before, and now
right?
I'm so happy that we did end up building this set in our house.
Yeah.
Because imagine if we didn't and we like rented a studio or something. Like a lot of
Sure.
people, podcasters do. They have a studio elsewhere. So we're really lucky that we did.
Yeah, no,
We
it
ended up
worked
doing-
out nicely, I guess.
Yeah. So my favorite was the nail blogging episode.
Good.
Where I basically got stuff off my chest that I've been, just not saying because I don't want to cause drama. But stuff that dates back to four-ish years ago, my early days blogging on SimplyNailogical.com and working with indies and some good things and bad things that happened and maybe some things that if you were around in my early Instagram days, you kind of listen to my podcast on that and then put things together and understand why I stopped doing something or I started doing something else.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like, I'm going to close this chapter. I just want to tell people, and I'm doing this later because it's really important to me, not to put people on blast, but I also want to give some perspective. And I got a lot of messages from fellow nail bloggers after that episode, basically saying thank you and that they appreciated me being honest and that they had some similar experiences, and it helped give them some insight and perspective in their own, nail blogging careers. So I thought that was cool.
I love that answer. Yeah, I think, seeing the reception to that one was huge, especially from people in those spaces, right? Mm-hmm. And then to see the juxtaposition of, I think you did that episode and then followed it up with a Holo Taco one. And I love that all the comments on the Holo Taco one were very much noticing how happy you were to have that sort of ownership and control over something of your own in juxtaposition to some of the not always pleasant experiences you had kind of come up with.
Yeah, and it was just it's a part of business, in any business really. So it's not like I'm special because there was things that happened to me. But I think it's a good episode. If you haven't heard that episode, I recommend you watch it. There's a lot of history there and behind the scenes.
It's a great episode. So, okay, that's the best. What's your worst?
I want to say the birth charts one, in part because in retrospect, like I knew going into that I wasn't going to believe any of whatever it said. I also don't even think I gave the right time for my my birth, like the right time of birth. But I think people know that we're generally respectful and not trying to make fun of other people's beliefs. But at the same time, if we're being honest in our own opinions, we're going to make jokes because that's just how we feel. And I think I did feel a little bit bad after that episode because there were maybe 2 comments who got upset that I felt this way. And I don't ever want to make people feel like that. So it's been hard to, have a podcast where people want to hear our opinions and I want to be honest about them and have fun and joke when I feel like it merits a joke, but also balance that with people who might be offended by what we say.
Yeah, no, that's I hear what you're saying in the sense that, like, should we do something when we know going into it we're not taking it seriously at all and are just going to make fun of it when we know other people actually care about it? I don't know. I could argue either way. But yeah, you're right. Our intention is never to make content just to belittle or make fun of people for thinking or believing in things.
And some of it is content that's just highly requested. I did see a lot of people asking us to read our birth charts. So people wanted us to do that, even though I think most of them knew that we didn't really put too much weight into it.
Sure. And I think you're just sensitive to not wanting to make anyone feel bad. I think maybe you're overthinking it a little bit, but I appreciate that about you.
Okay. So what was your favorite and least favorite?
I mean, after hearing your answer, I kind of think it might be the nail blogging one. But
that's your personal favorite? I mean, it makes sense it's mine, but...
Well, no, I love it for you. And I love that this podcast has shown people another side of you, and that might be the best example of that, to be honest. If I'm talking more selfishly, what I've enjoyed the most about this podcast are episodes where we can sort of be serious and silly at the same time. So like even last week when we're talking about Christmas, we'll have a 15-minute section on religion and why it's okay to not have religion in your life and we didn't grow up with religion, and then we can transition from that to just talking silly about Christmas cookies. You know what I mean? And I appreciate how we've been able to sort of navigate both serious and frivolous topics on this podcast. And then the ones I enjoy the most, I guess, when I'm thinking back after the fact is, ones where I can make you laugh a little. So like if we're doing like Reddit relationship advice,
the Reddit ones,
towards the end of the podcast, we're just cracking each other up towards the end. And I enjoy watching the content back and seeing you sort of genuinely enjoying it.
Oh, that's sweet. I think people do really like those Reddit ones. I think we've only done 2, but they do seem to get a good reception in terms of views, but also comments. Everyone likes also giving their 2 cents about what they think is the right thing to do.
I think we'll do more of those. And specifically, like those are Reddit threads that are about people asking for advice from strangers. I know you have to kind of be careful to not take content from Reddit that isn't just up for grabs or like just reproducing people's content in other places. But I think it's okay to take stuff from like the advice threads and things like that.
Yeah, if it's people looking or soliciting advice.
Yeah, if I have to give a worse answer, like I'll often watch them back and I'm critical of myself more than anything, but I don't think we should do quizzes on the podcast anymore. Every
quizzes?
time we've done an episode where it's us live taking a quiz, whether it's the political compass or the personality or the psychopath one.
Hey, they all start with P. All the quizzes start with P. That's weird.
I do not find those enjoyable to, like, I'll watch back these podcasts and edit the camera angles of who's looking at who and where and what, right? So when I listen to them back and even I'm finding them kind of like, I don't want to be listening to this, that's, I guess, something.
But you also have the bias of listening to yourself. And we've had this discussion.
Yeah.
The more you listen to yourself, which most of our listeners probably don't do, right? The average person doesn't watch themselves back for hours
Having
a week.
an hour-long conversation,
right?
Yeah.
But the more you do that, I think it is natural for a lot of people to just like cringe more at themselves. So you have that bias. Whereas if it were two other people having that conversation and you were editing it, I don't think you'd feel the same way, even if they said exactly the same what you said.
Yeah, maybe. But I just don't want to do quizzes. I don't want to do live quizzes anymore.
I mean, I wonder what you guys think, because a lot of people ask us to do the quizzes. They ask us to do the personality. And then I saw people asking for us to do the political bias test. The psychopathy thing, we just kind of thought, this could be a good idea. But I think some quizzes can be fun.
Maybe in the future, though, like you do the quiz and then the content is about the results and not live taking a test.
But like you said, some people like to participate in that live aspect, and maybe they're in their minds doing the quiz along with you.
Well, you could do it on your live stream. How about that?
I'll just do a bunch of BuzzFeed quizzes on my live stream. Painting my nails while taking quizzes.
People would watch.
It'll be like a 3-hour live stream.
Actually, so maybe that's a good note to end on. What do you want to see? Like, this isn't the last episode ever. I didn't mean to clickbait anyone.
Yes, Ben.
What do people want to see in 2021? I would like to think we get to the place where we start bringing people on. I'm not sure when that will happen, but that is definitely, eventually we're going to get sick of each other, I think, Cristine.
Yes.
If that hasn't already
We do
happened.
want to have guests. We've had my sister and Ben's brother, but, that was within family bubbles at the time. We do want to have some guests. It's going to be tricky given the situation. We might have to just cave and do some Skype/Zoom ones.
And figure out the best way of doing that too, right? But for now, at least for the foreseeable future, that's probably not going to happen quite yet. So we're very
stuck with us.
Open to comments, suggestions. Are we taking a week off next week, by the way?
I don't know, Ben. Are we?
I don't know. Do I get any time off, Simply?
You can do whatever you want. What if I just live stream by myself the next
week
podcast?
might only be Cristine. I might book it off. How about that?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Apologies to Larry. We were going to have him on today.
Is that a TikTok person?
I think so. But we ran out of time. Sorry about that. See you in 2021.
Yes, Ben.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching.
Oh, it's Taco Tuesday. We didn't even say that.
Just occurred to
but
you.
like, guys, if you did not know, it's Taco Tuesday. We are here to remind you it is that weird period between Christmas and New Year's when no one knows what day it is. But I think that's kind of been all of our feelings, most of this year.
Yeah, this is the period where seasonal affective disorder really kicks in.
Right, but I also was just trying to say that no one knows what day it is. It's that time of year.
So you're going to remind them.
I'm going to tell you it is Taco Tuesday. And we thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And Menchie's in her holiday bed again. This whole episode. It's so cute. Aw.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
We'll see y'all later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.